With her mother, another serial entrepreneur, they've opened a micro winery and wine bar, English Brown Winery in Hollywood, Florida, where they make high-end handcraft wines for those with discerning taste. Yes, yes.
I have to tell you that I read her post about that kiwi wine, right? That somebody was like, I don't like kiwi. And then she's like, she said, just try it. And the person was like, yo, I need a bottle of that, right?
It's so funny. I'm listening to you read my bio. I'm like, oh, I like her. Who is she? I want to meet her.
That's you. She
is you. Oh, you sis. Can I just say, sis?
Oh my gosh, don't do that. Hey.
Can I just tell you, you make me so proud. I am just so, and you know, I've met Shavon before, and
yes,
lady is just, what you see is what you get. Just the sweetest, kindest, and ready to help everyone. Sis, you know what? I give you your flowers, sis. And
thank you.
Nothing but love. But you have the stage. Please talk about yourself.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, you kind of read my bio there. I am a serial entrepreneur. I do have my hands in a lot of things. I know in the beginning, when I first started branching out into different areas, I would always get people saying things like, you know, you don't spread yourself too thin, or, you know, you need to focus on one area. I don't necessarily think that's true all the time. I think that my passion is creating experiences for people, whether it's in a live audience situation, we're doing an event, or I'm throwing parties, or whether I'm doing the talk show or the magazine, or even here at the winery, it's still about the experience. And that's what I like to do. So while it seems like I'm kind of everywhere, it's really all about the same thing, which is people walking away feeling like either they feel touched, they feel moved, they feel inspired, they feel a little tipsy because they came to the winery. Either way, they feel something when they leave me.
That's absolutely amazing. And you know what? You're right. I don't think we should have a limit. I feel like we should be able to do and say what we want if the opportunity presents itself. And I just want to kind of give the women who are out there listening, who are thinking about running a business, don't know, not too sure, kind of afraid. What kind of advice can you give them? And also so they can understand, like, coming out of your comfort zone is not necessarily a bad thing.
It's definitely not. I give everyone the same advice my mom gives all of her daughters, is say yes and figure it out after. She's been telling me this since, like, you know, going for like my first jobs. And, you know, I would be like, well, they're saying that I need to be able to do this and this, and I know how to do this, and I can learn it, but I don't know. And she would always say, tell them yes and figure it out after. and I did, and it worked. And when people ask, like when we went to the restaurant business, we started Gigi's 8-9 years ago, we had a lot of people asking, like, thinking that we had experience. And we didn't. We said yes, and we figured it out as we went along, you know? And sometimes you have great people to learn from, and sometimes you have people that showed you stuff and you knew not to do. That, you know, it's a learning process. I think sometimes we're scared to start new businesses or new ventures because we're afraid to fail. And you have to fail. Like, that's how you learn how to do it right. Yeah. We get nervous that everyone's watching, and you know, we don't want to let people down, or we don't want to embarrass ourselves. But I feel like that's how you inspire someone else to take a chance, right? If they see that you stumble, or they see that this is an actual work that you're putting, like you're, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out. It makes someone else see, wait a minute, she just started this from scratch. I can do it too. And that's always been my thing. Like, Sandra knows me for real. I'm very transparent in everything. So I'm always like, I'm figuring it out. If you see something you like, hey, we could talk about it. But, you know, I'm taking chances, and that's what you got to do.
You're on mute, Sandra.
Yes, so that's definite. I definitely believe that. That's like stepping out on faith too, right? Because you got to believe
Every time.
you got to be your number one fan. And
Yep.
I'm one of those people who I really do believe that I learn more from my mistakes than from my
Right.
right? I really believe that. Like when I make a mistake, I'm just gonna figure out like, well, what did I do? Where did I make that turn? Where did I go wrong? How can I make it or whatever? And I really do think that, you know, you definitely learn from your mistakes, and you have to step out on faith because you have to believe in yourself. And and it's interesting that you said, you know, you talked about being a serial entrepreneur, and then sometimes people will be like, well, that don't sound like stable, right? Like, where's the stability in that? I was actually listening to something next week, and I usually try to give my sources credit, but I can't remember exactly what show I was listening to. But it might have been like an interview that was on like that Charlemagne show with the Breakfast Club. But it was some entrepreneurs that were on there, and they were talking about going into entrepreneurship. And one of the things they said, they're like, the people who work 3 jobs, they never get rich, and they just they die broke, right? Because the kind of money that you're earning with your time is not working for you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make your money work for you. You're just going at a job, and all you about to make is what they're paying you for that hour. Your money is working for you. You're working for your money. So entrepreneurship, even if you are a hard worker, entrepreneurship is really the way that you can accumulate wealth, unless you get one of them jobs with a good benefits package and percentage of the earnings, but you still negotiated not only your salary, you negotiated ownership in what it is that you're doing. So at some point, ownership is really what's going to take you to that next level of economic growth.
You're absolutely right. And I also think what I always tell people to look at, because entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. And I'm not one of those people that tell people, oh, you need to leave your 9 to 5. No, you don't. Do what you want. Like, get it how you live.
For me, if you're happy like that and that you good, then do that.
Right. I feel like for me, it was a trade-off of time. Like, what do I want my life to look like, my day to look like, right? And I could have stayed in the corporate world and make kind of what I make now, but I didn't want to give up the time. I don't like being beholden to other people. And if I have a great idea, I want to try it. I don't want to run it through 8 people to get to maybe a yes, and then have someone else profit off my idea or what I'm thinking. That's for me. So for me, people will be like, oh, well, you want to work 8 hours a day, or you're going to work all day? I work all day. I work all day, but I work for me, and I can decide I'm not working today at all if I want to. And I don't have to call anybody and say, well, I got to call my mama. Sometimes I think I call my mama.
We all got to call our mama.
That's okay.
I got to call our mama.
That's all right.
I call my mother.
Calling your mama. We all have to call our mama.
I think I call my mama and say, I'm not working today. But for us, it was it's a family business. The winery is a family business. The salon is a family business. The grocery store is a family business. The restaurant's a family business. For my mother, it was more about having things to give to the grandchildren and her children. Like, my mom started all these businesses, but she started them to give them to her children to run. Like, that's her thing, like, she doesn't actually work in any of these businesses. It's kind of just like, here, let's start this together, what we're going to do, and you go. And that's what she's done for her daughters and her grandchildren. So like, she's my hero. Black History Month, every month, my mom is Black History. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, amazing. And I wanted you to, I was waiting for you to mention the businesses, because I really wanted you to list them bad boys to everybody. But before you do that, before you go to that, I have a question that I've heard around, most small businesses are women owned, and Black women tend to run these businesses. And one of the things that Sandra and I spoke about in terms of Black history, and how the most mundane thing you could think about was created by a Black person. And one of the things she mentioned was, Sandra, remind me, you said something that if things come out of necessity,
necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes, right. Necessity is the mother of invention, correct. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you, as a Black woman and a Black woman entrepreneur, what do you think drives us, Black women, that makes us so, innovative and able to find, one of the things you mentioned in your bio is the knack of being able to see an opportunity and seize it. And, you know, just to give people a general, because I really want our people to understand how important it is that we, when we do these things, we become entrepreneurs. What's the thought process behind it? And just off the top of your head, what do you feel? And then you can talk for yourself, and then list your businesses, sis. Of what drives us as Black women to do these things and be those entrepreneurs that people look up to and you know, white people try to emulate.
Right. I think on a general scale, we are able to see a need and fill it. Right. I don't know what we call that. I don't know if it's cultural. I don't know if it's DNA. I don't know. We know how to get it out the mud. We know how to see something and say, I have a fix for that. Right. That's what we do. And it's just, I feel like lately we've realized I can monetize this labor that I've given to everyone else for free. I can, you know, take myself to the next level with it. So I think that is on a general scale. For me, and I will say also from the very first start of Gigi's, and for me in particular, I create what I'd like to have. So if there's something that I want to do, and this is for any, like it's funny, someone will call me and ask me something and I'll be like, well, I can't do it, but my sister can, or my mother can, or my other sister can, or something like that. So when I see something that I want and I can't find it, then I'm gonna make it.
Yes.
And so with the restaurant, we were missing the vibe of New York. We were missing the food, we were missing the music scene, we were missing a certain kind of vibe. Like we wanted a Harlem vibe. We ain't trying to move back home because it's cold, but we wanted the vibe, so we created it in Gigi's. You know what I mean? With the supermarket, we wanted a boutique kind of store, but we were also missing, there's like not bodegas here. So we created it then. Like, I want to mix a bodega and a Trader Joe's. This is what Gigi's Gourmet Market is. I want it to be there in the neighborhood. So we created what was missing. The same thing with the wine, the same thing with Bossy. I was looking for women. I was looking for publications and shows that were were the things I wanted to read about, the things I wanted to watch, and I couldn't find it, so I made it. And that's, for me, that's my process. When there's something that I feel like, this is something I'd like to experience, I bet other people will too. Let's see if they come. Right. That's kind of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how was it starting a business? And then 2020 happened.
So, you know what? I'm going to say, for me, strangely enough, this was a blessing this time for me. We started the business at the mid 2019. We were supposed to open March of 2020, right? When everything was shutting down. So at first it was very like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? We didn't even get our doors open yet. Like, we've been in construction and stuff for months, and we like about to open doors and everything shut down. But I think we used it as a time to like perfect our craft. I spent a lot of time making wine, learning the recipes, like without the pressure of the public right here. I could just be here making wine all day. Like I was perfecting my craft. I was deciding exactly what we wanted the experience to be here. We got to hand select every single piece. So it gave me time. Like, I didn't feel rushed or having to meet somebody's expectations. Like, I thought y'all were opening, you know what I mean? It was kind of, everybody was on pause. So I got to really work on things. Now, of course, it was harder for our businesses that were already open. But I don't know, I feel like we made it through because we have loyal customers. Like, Gigi's been 8 years. I can't tell you how many restaurants I've seen in our area come and go in the 8 years there. We got a lot of people that were like, that are used to just coming there for experience, but like, I want to make sure I support you. So I'm coming over there just for takeout, even though y'all are not seating. So I really got to see the people that really love Gigi's like that. And the people that, even when I soft opened the winery, people that like didn't care and was like, I don't care, you're not open, I'm just coming for a bottle to go. So our community stepped up for us, but it also gave us a pause to really kind of decide exactly how we wanted everything to be run. And I think I did that across the board for my businesses, like kind of juggle things, what's necessary, what's not necessary. How do I really want to show up? And so it gave me some time.
And that's important. That's when you have credibility in your industry, credibility in your business. They know that you have a good product, right? And then you have like a loyal fan base because you said it's about building experience, and they know that you have a good experience. And that's really what people are there for, right? And they'll pay all kind of money for experience. And when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's how I feel about stuff, right? Because I helped plan like our high school reunion, and people may not want to, but one of the things that I was like, no, this has to be an experience. You want it to be memorable, right? It's like people, they'll pay like a whole bunch of money if it's something that every time they think about it, it puts a smile on their face, or they remember, and they be like, yo, I'll do that again. I'm like, I was like, don't try to cut corners. It's really about it's experience. It's about the experience. And you really can't put a price on that. You cannot put a price on that, especially if you set something up where the folks can have like, just memories. And when they go back, they be like, yeah, I remember that. It's absolutely priceless. And I think because your business is focused so much on the experience, that's why when things got tough, people like, you know what? I want to make sure that this is still around because I remember
when I come back
that I had that experience there. But if it's one of them places when you went in, every time you turn around, you like argue with that, they messing up your food, or the customer service in there.
Yeah, customer service and there. Nah.
They're like,
right. I think it's weird. So like my thing for everything is like, I want people to come in and be like, I enjoy this vibe, where they're going. Like that's where this is going to sound weird and selfish, but I base things on what I want to feel like when I go somewhere, right? Like if I'm going to a wine bar and I'm going someplace where they're handcrafting the wine, I'm going to pay whatever if the vibe is good.
Right.
You know what I mean? If the vibe is good, I'm coming back and I'm bringing people. And that's what I try to create in things. The biggest payoff I get is when people are like, they're like, I love the atmosphere in here. And that's what I'm giving. Like, that's the thing that sparks for me. Yes, I do this for work, right? Because I got to eat, got a lot of kids, but I do it because I like that. That's my moment for me. When someone tells me like, I'm just loving this experience. I love this. Like, that's what I like.
Can we give a shout out to the community for supporting Gigi's restaurant and the winery? I want to just give it, because you know what, I love us so much, and I keep saying that all the time because I really do love us, the good, bad, and the ugly.
I do.
But just thank you to the community for coming out and still supporting a Black-owned business, because listen, let me tell you something, we need each other now more than ever. And so I just want to give a shout out to the community for still holding you up and holding you in, because it's important that we support each other very much. And the last question I have before I turn it over to Sandra was, you mentioned mom and some siblings. So how is the family dynamic with the business? How is that?
So it is crazy. I do have, I can totally admit this, my whole family would say, I have one of those families that has no boundaries. We're totally over involved in each other's lives, right? So my dad also has a business, which we kind of work for him too. We'd say we don't, but we do. So we all kind of work for each other, you know what I mean? And we do a lot of pitching in on, even though like I'm here and my sister's at the restaurant, there's no time that she might call and be like, I don't have a waitress. Now I'm a waitress today. You know what I mean? It's whatever it is. It's like, hey, I don't have a server. Pull a cousin, pull them in here. Like, that is our dynamic, because it is a family business that benefits the family. So we all work it. Like, that's
beautiful.
My children, they've been working for their grandmother or aunt since they were 14. Like, everyone goes in and does that. And we all pitch in, because this is our legacy, right?
Beautiful, just beautiful. Everything about it is just, I can't get enough. I mean, right, Sandra? Like everything about it is just
it's definitely amazing. So won't you show us a bottle, show us that logo, tell some people like where to go to at least pick up like a bottle of wine and give the address to PG so they could get some food.
Show us the strongest one you got, sis. The strongest one you got.
Okay, so kind of any of our traditional wines, this is I don't know how well you can see this. This is a winemaker's red. Ooh. So I have 22 varieties of wine. Everything is handmade here. So we make everything in-house in small batches of 30 or less. We don't have a lot of preservatives. Everything is all natural. Our wine I want to give you the difference. I try to tell people the differences between going to, because people are like, oh, I can buy a bottle in
like $6.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's the difference. Right. But I'm like, the difference is going to a brewery and buying a Coors Light, right? Mm-hmm. You can still get it's a beer and a beer, but you go to because you're looking for something better. You're looking for something more quality. You're looking for, again, an experience in drinking your wine. Mm-hmm. So we do have a lot of traditional wines, like a Cab, a Pinot Noir, anything like that. And then we have our beach wine lines, which is super popular with everybody. There are sweeter wines, like the key lime that she was talking about is everybody's favorite. I tell everybody it's the funniest thing because I'll have couples here on dates or come in with a bunch of guys and they're like, oh, I like a Malbec, I like a Merlot, and they want all these like bold, strong wines. And then the guys drink the key lime and they're like, yeah, I'll take that. I'd be like, you want the free one? You like the key lime. You don't want the Malbec to take home. You want the key lime. Like, okay.
Wow. Is that your popular one? Your key lime is your popular one?
Yes, the key lime, the strawberry, and our orange sangria are very popular of the beach wines. And of our traditional wines, we do a couple of blends that people really like, our Super Tuscan, Winemaker's Red, things like that. So I just tell people to come in, taste them. We do tastings, we do happy hours. We're doing events, or if you just want to come in and grab a bottle to go, we're here, right here in Hollywood.
Where can we find this beautiful place? Because I'm gonna try to do a date.
Yes, I will tell you, it's a perfect date night. That's what I get a lot of it. It's a perfect date.
Well, night. I will be there Saturday night. Tell us.
You can come. So we're right 928 North Federal Highway in Hollywood. So I'm right before Johnson on US 1, super easy to find. And if you just want to buy a bottle and ship, we do. You can go on EnglishBrownWinery.com and we ship everywhere. So if you just want to buy a bottle or send gifts. And next month, we'll be introducing our wine club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got to join.
So what's the deal with the wine club? How much is it? And like, how much wine do you get monthly?
Okay, so there'll be the wine, even though again, it's about an experience. So you will be on a 1 or 2 bottles a month subscription, but that includes a members only VIP tasting party every month. Okay. So you'll be able to come in and do your tastings and, mingle with other people who want the vibe, right? And when you get your bottles and things like that. So it'll be out in the next week or so you can see the different price points and where you'd like to be involved.
All right.
All right.
Can I tell you how proud I am of you, sis?
Oh, thank you.
I mean, man, I told you this before when we met the first time. Girl, I can't, it's like I'm bubbling over with just happiness. I'm just so happy, like really.
Thank you.
And we need to be like this with each other. I am so proud of you. I'm gonna be blasting it.
I appreciate that. I want to say something. I always get people think that like Black women don't support each other, but the outpouring of love and support I have gotten since opening here, actually in everything, but here, well, I'll be here with women and they will stop and realize that I made this wine with my hands and they hug me and they cry and they get like so emotional and I'll be like, I love us. I love us.
I got goosebumps. I'm so proud of you. I literally got goosebumps.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's important, and we need to continue to support that. And one of the reasons why, one of the reasons why we should also support like Black women in their business is part of the reason why we lose out or we lose our businesses or people can't succeed is we don't have that support, yes. Right? And then other companies, they're not really catering to us, right? Like they have. And when they start catering, that's because they've realized that other people of color are taking away their market share. So they're not even catering to people of color because they realize it's the right thing to do. They're like, oh damn, they stopped spending their money with us, so we got to put on a show to get to bring the dollars back, right? But if you have an option to support a business of color, a woman of color, a man of color, whatever, leave that money in the community and help us grow, and let these other industries respect what it is that we're doing and what it is that to the society, because they treat us like they don't need us, which is not true, right? Like it's absolutely not true. And you don't want somebody to, I'll do something for you now, and that's just because they really want your money, not necessarily like they really want you. They just want you to spend your money, but they don't really care about how you feel about what it is the product out there. Right.
They don't. And then you realize, like, when you choose these other big corporations over small businesses, like, you're supporting this corporation, but when you start supporting a small business, like, you're supporting a family.
Literally.
Right? You know what I mean? You're supporting the community that you live in. Like, and I think that sometimes we have to juggle that sometimes and think about it like, okay, and this person is creating a space specifically for me.
Right. And you're getting something in return. So people think like, oh, well, I'm helping pay her light bill, or I'm paying her rent. And no, that's not all you're doing. You're getting something in return. Because I never really call myself an entrepreneur, but I've literally practiced, had my own practice for, it's probably 20 years right now, right? Part of that was because like I don't like asking for a vacation time. I'm like, why I gotta ask you? And that's literally when it came to, I was like, what? I gotta do a request and then you can
my time.
Like when I tell you, like that was my that was the disconnect. When I'm like, tell me no. Like what does that even mean, right? But that was part of it. So you get into your own business, but people think like, oh, I'm the one that's paying your bills, and no, you're getting something in return from me for your money. It's not like you're giving me money and I'm doing nothing for you, right? A quality service in return. So don't do that.
I try to tell people, I kind of shy away from saying support Black businesses because it gives people, it leans toward them thinking I'm doing you a favor. I always say patronize, because you're paying for a service or product just like you are at anywhere else. If you go to Chick-fil-A, you don't be like, look at me supporting Chick-fil-A. No, you wanted some nuggets and they had them, right? Like that's all that is. There is no favor.
I love that word. I'm going to start using that now.
Yes, like you're just patronizing a business like you are every other business, because when you keep saying, I need you to support us, they feel like, oh, look at what I'm doing for you. You're getting something. You're paying for your service or product that you want. Like this is something you want.
And there are companies that people are willing to support who truly don't even care about you. They
don't
care about you. So at least you're in a space where you have a person that's providing you a quality service that you need in return. And they have interest in you.
Right.
Well, you're speaking well of their product. You're getting a good benefit. Like when someone comes to do their work, I want you to be satisfied with your work. There are other people, they're like, my fees are non-refundable. So like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference in that experience. There's a difference in that experience. They're like, listen, happy or not, I don't care. My fees are non-refundable. But you're like, no, I want to make sure I did what it is
we lost you
out to do for you.
Okay.
We lost you for a minute.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree with that. So I always tell people, think about the service that you're getting. You wanted this service, they're providing you for it. This is not a favor. It's not a handout. It's just the same business you're doing anywhere else you go. Because you don't want, like if you walk into Walgreens, you're not expecting them to do a cartwheel because you came in. You don't feel like you should be so happy I came here to support you. Them people don't care.
They sure don't.
They sure do not care. And you don't expect it from them.
That's right.
You don't. So I just say, I know that as a Black consumer and a Black business owner, we need to get in the mindset of this. I'm patronizing this business that's giving me a service or a product.
Right.
And that's it. Like, that's it. That's it.
Perfect. Patronizing.
And what's the address of Gigi's Music Cafe?
Gigi's Music Cafe is 4385 North 88th Terrace, but that's actually Pine Island. I don't know why they call it 88th right there, but it's actually Pine Island in between Oakland and Commercial. And right in the AMC movie.
The food is delicious.
Thanks.
Yes. Yes,
very good. Been there twice.
Vegetarian meal that has the greens and the sweet potatoes and the mac
Woo!
and cheese. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm hungry.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, it was such a pleasure, Chevy, to be talking to you. Like, I'm just so proud of you. We are like, please support, not support, patronize.
Patronize. Go ahead, Carol.
Please support, patronize, because you are providing a service. And I will be making sure I do date night Saturday night. Gonna get my wine on, honey. I'm gonna take 2-3 bottles.
Okay,
I gotta get it on.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And Black History Month, ladies and gentlemen, please give her all the love. Give her flowers today. Yes.
Oh, sorry, I was talking over you. Go ahead. Say that again.
No, I said give her flowers today.
That's right. Always give everybody flowers now.
Every day.
Right. And
all right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
But always.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too.
So,
righty.
Let's jump right in, honey.
All right, y'all. So we had a good conversation with our serial
entrepreneur,
Shavon Brown-Robinson. I mean, he's doing it. You need wine, you need food, you need music. They got a grocery store,
winery.
You know,
they have a winery, they have a restaurant. I mean, this is, just a whole full gamut. And I'm just excited that this Black woman and her family is making this, it's just amazing here in Broward County. If you don't know who she is, you better get to know who she is, because she's making waves, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, so she's doing magazines, having a bossy experience, and having He's Drop. They do the reality relationship. I mean, just all of those different type of things.
All of those things.
Do all those things, right? You can do all those things.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what the future holds for her, because I feel like that's not all. That's not the end, and I'm excited that that's not the end. Yeah. So Sandra.
Yes, we still. This is a show about race and the races. And
yes, it is.
Remind you that there's an election in Miramar, March 9th, 2021. The candidates. I think they have a panel. There's a panel tonight that I got an email about. So check Carrie Ann Nesbitt, Nesbth's page. There's a panel that she's promoting today to find out about the candidates that are running in that race in Miramar, because they're doing a whole bunch of panels, because the election is March the 9th, 2021. There are also elections in Coconut Creek, Sea Ranch, Deerfield, and I still don't know that fifth city.
I thought you had gotten it, girl. I didn't bother to look it up, because I was like,
let me see those Brown County elections.
Go on, right. You can go on the supervisor election.
What political thing we're going to talk about? Because we have those races going on. They're going to be races in Miami on April the 13th, 2021, and there'll be races throughout the. There are a series of elections that are in 2021 that we have to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Because we always say down ballot candidates, which are your local, the commissioner seats, the mayors, the candidates that run for office in your local cities. Those are the folks that are making decisions about your everyday life, right? We saw what happened in Texas, right? There was just a whole mess that happened in Texas last week. Unfortunate, super sad. Who did those folks have to rely on? Their mayors, their local elected officials, because their senator that they sent back to Washington, D.C.
Come on with it.
Of this year, he got sworn in on January the 3rd, 2021. When it got too cold, he got on a plane and went to Mexico.
Oh, did.
So folks voted for him, and he didn't even stay and take care of the people in his state. So who was there taking care of the people in their state? Their mayors. That was there making sure that those people had resources. They set up phone banks to call and checking on people. They had warming centers. It was their local officials that came through for them. Making sure that they were okay. Not their state senator that they elected. He tried to dip, and even he came out there passing out water
and threw his babies under the bus. And you have a Beto who didn't win his election, was out there sitting there and making sure people got what they needed, even though he did not win his election. And you have your whole senator who threw his babies under the bus when they asked him why you end up going, oh, because I wanted to drop off my kids. And then, somebody in their group chat leaked out the text messages to show the real reason why you was up to went to Cancun. The bottom line is these people work for you. You elected this man to be your senator, and this is what he do.
And he left. He was out of that. Even the governor of that state, again, that's elected official, but he's far removed from the local county offices. So he's up in, whatever that city where the governor of Texas lives, and he over there trying to blame climate change and a Green New Deal that's not even a thing, right now, instead of trying to make sure that the people of his state is okay. Who came through? Mayors of Galveston, the mayor of Houston, the mayor in Austin. Those are the people that came through to make sure that their local residents were okay. Whereas the further removed elected officials just can't sympathize with what's happening with the day-to-day going on of people in their community.
Your mayors and your commissioners, your council people, your councilmen and women, they're the ones that came through and said, you know what, we're going to put boots to the ground. We're going to make sure these people get what they need. They are actively working on the light situation there, the water situation there. And, it's important that these down ballot candidates get your attention. You have to make sure you know who these people are. And so we have 5 races in Broward County, right?
Yes, so I have them now, right? And I did know this, but I wasn't sure that was it, so I didn't want to say it, right?
Run them down one more time.
Beach. It's Hillsborough Beach. So
run it down one more time.
So it's Coconut Creek, Deerfield Beach, Hillsborough Beach, Miramar, and Sea Ranch Lakes. Those are the 5 cities that have elections in Broward County on March the 9th, 2021. So make sure you pay attention, see what those candidates are about, and make sure you vote. Vote by mail ballots you should already have them if you requested them. You have up until the 27th, which I believe is, what day is the 27th?
The 27th is on
Saturday to request it. If you requested before then, in order for you to get it, but there's no early voting. You have to either send your ballot in with vote by mail, or you have to go in to your local precinct on March the 9th, 2021 to vote. Miramar is going to have 25 precincts open on that day for folks to vote. So I think it's wherever you're supposed to vote on your voter's registration card, you have to go to that location. But there'll be 25 precincts open on March the 9th, 2021 in Miramar. Sea Ranch Lakes, I guess it's a small community. They're only going to have 1. Hillsborough Beach will have 1. Deerfield Beach will have 24 precincts open on that day for their election. And Coconut Creek will have 14 different precincts open on March 9th, 2021 for those elections. Those candidates are important.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's important the down ballot candidates, please pay attention to them. So we're going to shift gears and we're going to run into some of the bills that the Florida Legislative Black Caucus unveils for police reform. However, we still have that one irritant bill that the governor's trying to push to stop us from protesting. He came out, when was that, Sandra? Remember he came out with the chief of police in Polk County, and he had this whole
that was sometime last year.
It was, but it was in reference to the protest.
It was actually right before the election because that's why we were really pushing the state house and the state senate races, because one of the things, and it was a Jamaican friend of mine that said this, was like, prevention is better than cure. Right? So people usually say like, oh no, if that bill passes, the ACLU is going to get involved and there's going to be all kind of litigation and all of that type of stuff. Yes, we can do that. But what we wanted to have happen was to prevent it from happening, right? Because you want to have folks, and we were trying to flip both the Florida House and the Florida Senate blue. Unfortunately, we were not successful at that. Instead of flipping seats, some Democrats lost seats, so the Republicans have a bit of an advantage. And the problem with that is that even if they support what a bill that a Democrat will propose, they tend to vote along party line, right? They just vote party line, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. They're not going to look at the merits of it. They're just going to vote party line for all different types of reasons. We're actually seeing that happen on all level of government right now, even with the United States Senate. When people vote their conscience, they get in trouble. Republicans, I ain't gonna say people, Republicans vote their conscience, they get in trouble because they're expected to just support the party line, whether it's right or wrong, right? And there are times when some things, people are on the wrong side of history with certain issues, right? And what the governor's proposing, trying to limit what I say is free speech, because in the United States, we have a right to assemble.
Absolutely.
We have a right to free speech.
That's
so
right.
I'm trying to tell people that, you're going to face jail for protesting, particularly if you're protesting something that's violating one of your protected rights in the United States Constitution. That's a violation of the First Amendment. They don't see it as that, because even though we see it as a First Amendment issue, they see it as an exception to the First Amendment. Because believe it or not, there are two exceptions to free speech in the First Amendment. One is what they call fighting words, and the other one is clear and present danger. So if there is a situation that's created that creates danger, then that particular situation is not protected by the First Amendment. But that's not what it is. What they're trying to do is, like, they don't want to face, when I say they're elected officials, white men, some law enforcement agencies don't want to face the fact. The truth is that they're mistreating people of color, right? And they don't want you, so they don't want to own up to the fact that they're doing it, and they don't want you to keep putting it in their face that they're doing that, and they don't want you to be upset about the fact that they have no problems taking your life. So what do they do to stop you from doing that? They're going to try to criminalize your right to protest their wrongdoing. Like, what kind of mental gymnastics is that? So instead of you facing the fact that you're doing something wrong, you're just gonna be like, let's not talk about it, and I don't want you throwing it in my face every time I do something wrong. How that work?
And you don't get to go out there and let nobody else know what's going on.
That I'm out here behaving badly.
Yeah, I'm not, and not only, and what's dangerous about this bill is not just the fact that they're trying to suppress the voice of the constituents of the people. They also put in stuff in the bills and saying that if someone were to run over someone else during a protest, that's not considered a crime. So when we had those protests last summer where, you have white men in their cars mowing people down, this will now be not considered a crime. And, it's just a level of suppression that these government-led, not only government, but Republican-led states. Alabama is, according to Sandra told me earlier, we had a conversation, you said Alabama has something similar to what Florida is trying to present in the Senate.
They're also trying to limit people from the rights of folks to protest, right? They're trying to say, no, you can't protest and assemble in big crowds, and you can. They're trying to make what used to be just a disorderly conduct probably a misdemeanor arrest. They're trying to make it a felony. They want people to pay penalties, and half the time, if you have poor people protesting because they feel like somebody's foot is on their neck. They ain't got no money to be paying no fines and jail and all that.
I think the most, and I don't mean to cut you, but I think the most upsetting part of what this is that what happened on January 6th, which was nowhere near any kind of protest from Black Lives Matter and the like.
It was an insurrection. It was a coup d'etat.
An attempted coup d'etat. They couldn't even do that right. But just to kind of put things in context, their so-called protest, their insurrection was based on a lawful and legal election that was done lawfully, and it's been across the nation. Everything was done correctly. There was no wrongdoing. And the protests for Black Lives Matter and the like are human rights violations. And just for a governor, or any governor for that matter, to say you don't have a right to protest murdering
oppression.
innocent people, oppression and suppression.
You have the right to protest your oppression. You're supposed to just take it.
I mean, really, this is what we're doing?
Man.
That's what we're doing, DeSantis? That's what we're doing?
Okay. Police that's supposed to be here to serve and protect.
Right.
Complaining about that. Because as a matter of fact, the case in Buffalo, they decided, grand jury decided that they're not prosecuting those police officers either.
Right.
That young man was having a mental health crisis. They put something over his head. He ended up being, asphyxiation was the cause of death. And then, he did have drugs in his system. And they said, well, it was asphyxiation, but it was because of the drugs. The fact that they threw some black hood over his head seemed to be the reason why he was asphyxiated. But for the prosecute that. So they're not also, not only do they not want to prosecute the police officers that's out here killing unarmed black folk, they don't want people or family members that are upset that they're killing unarmed black folks to complain that unarmed black folks are.
I'm gonna do you one better. The older man that was shoved to the ground by the not Buffalo police?
It was Buffalo.
Buffalo police. That was Buffalo police as well. Okay, yeah. and they split that poor man's head or whatever. Those police officers will not be charged. It's insanity to me. Insanity. And if anybody who saw the video, you saw that man had his cell phone in his hand, minded his business, was standing there, and you see the police officer literally just shove him to the ground.
Yeah. And, and the folks who, and the folks who are going to say, oh, no, we don't need that protest because you're putting the lives of police officers in danger, Blue Lives Matter and all of that. But on January 6th, 2021, those blue lives didn't seem to matter because they're like slamming them indoors,
spitting
with beer,
slapping,
bear spray,
abusing,
up, pepper spray, beating them up with the Trump flags, beating them up with the American flags. And that they seem to be a bigger threat to law enforcement than anybody at a Black Lives Matter protest.
140 law enforcement officers were injured that day. 140. And out of the 140, I believe three were either killed. One was killed. The other two subsequently committed suicide. Okay. Yeah. And while everyone wants to be up in arms about Black Lives Matter, and then you want to be the opposition is Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives did not matter January 6th.
On that day.
Not at all. Okay, so let's be clear. So while we're talking about police officers, the Florida Legislative Black Caucus unveiled sweeping police reform packages that, quite frankly, many are very progressive, and I love them all. I'm gonna be honest with you. Every single one is on point and much needed. And wanted to kind of just talk about them just a little bit. One of the ones I like the most is the one from Representative Omari Hari. And if you all don't know who that is, he went viral when he was the commissioner for Palm Beach County.
Delray.
No, Palm Beach.
No, I think it's Palm Beach County, but I think it's Delray, the city of
Delray. That is correct. Yes. So he made on the scene when he was tongue lashing the other commissioners of their basically, non-existent help for the people in their area. So he was quite upset, but he made his name. But one of the things I love about this one, which is HB 6057, and it's labeled as law enforcement officers and correctional officers' rights. So the police have a Bill of Rights, right? And the Bill of Rights apparently contains some loopholes and technicalities. So it makes it very difficult to hold police departments accountable or police officers accountable.
For their bad behavior, not just for their bad behavior.
Period, for their bad behavior. So this bill seeks to repeal those loopholes. And it's important that we talk about, not only is it there to repeal, but there's other representatives who's brought in legislation or bills to provide for police education, training, implicit bias training. So these bills are not just to strip and then not provide a remedy for the issue. So the goal is to level the playing field. And for police officers to be what they were meant to be. Now, for Black people, that's not really, doesn't resonate with us really, because police started off from the KKK, and that was, that's a whole different conversation. However, they've evolved since then. And their job is to, in my opinion, serve and protect, de-escalate, and keep us safe. And none of which, in my opinion, really is resonated with Black people. They may be doing it in the white neighborhoods, but as far as Black people are concerned, we don't see the serve and protect and de-escalation. What we're met with is brute force, excessive force, and why we march and why this is important, that we know the whole full context of what's going on, right? You can't take away our right to protest, but not take away the reason why we're protesting, or make it better or why we're protesting. Like, right. if you want to take away the right to protest, then you should be actively and deliberately and aggressively dealing with the issues for the reason for the protest. So it's just, to me, like we mentioned earlier about the mayors and the commissioners and how it's important that you be civically engaged for the people in your local races, because they do have the ear of the people who are further up, right? There is this, albeit kind of few and far between, but there is this relationship and this, communication that does happen, and that's important. So they
also have closer contact with the people in the community, right? They're, often they usually have to live in the community that they're serving. So Absolutely. You have people that are living there that are probably having the same experience that someone is having. And so they're the ones that can really relate to the experience of most of the constituents. We have some city, I live in one of those cities that has like a East and West. They don't call it East anymore. They call it Old Miramar and, this like West Miramar, whatever. And there are some differences in the services that are provided. And so you want to make sure that there's a commissioner that's there that's going to take into consideration both sides. And I don't want to suggest that all of the folks that are running or live out West, because some of them probably live out East. I don't know nobody's address, and I don't want to say that. But, you definitely want somebody that's going to be here and they're going to serve the entire city and community of Miramar. I'm talking about Miramar because I live in Miramar too. But we also want that for Coconut Creek, Hillsborough, Deerfield, and Sea Ranch Lake. Those elections are March 9th, 2021.
2021. Yes. Don't forget those. They're important. Do you have any closing remarks?
There's an election, March 9th, 2021, in Deerfield, Sea Ranch Lake, Coconut Creek, Hillsborough, and my city, Miramar.
There we go. And my closing remarks is, again, wear your masks. The variant is, there's a dominant variant that's out there now. Wear 2 masks, please, if possible, if you are able to do so. Continue with your social distancing is really, really important. There is a nurse, I believe, in Palm Beach County who has gotten COVID for the 2nd time. The first time she was asymptomatic. The 2nd time she is now almost on a ventilator. Her parents are mom. I don't think she got the vaccine.
Yeah, no, folks are conflicted about that vaccine, but the vaccines say one of the things that they're guaranteeing with the vaccine is that you will not end up in a hospital and you won't die. So if you having some second thoughts, I think those are some good odds. If you're not going to end up in a hospital and you're not going to die, you may want to consider getting that vaccine is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So, and it's really a personal choice.
It's a personal choice.
It's
those odds are not bad.
But if that's the odds, then, you should consider it.
Yes. And the other thing is like, if y'all don't want to teach complete American history, please bring Black history into the schools.
I'm trying to find me a representative that will be bold enough so we can talk about a curriculum in Black history. Not an option, not something we can do as an elective. I need it to be part of the curriculum, right? Because Black history.
Just teach real American history. If you do that, then there'll be no need to have some sort of separate Black history course, because American history includes a lot of Black history in it.
American history is Black history. Just letting y'all know. I'm gonna be straight up.
So we're gonna head out to Ruby's event, right?
Yeah, we are. We're heading out to Ruby's event. I think it starts at 6:30.
That's at 6:30.
Yeah,
I think it's the Broward Bar that's putting that one together.
Yes.
So
and there's some dynamic speakers on there. You know, Crum, Benjamin Crum, our state attorney, Harold Pryor, is going to be on there. So it's going to be a very, very good discussion about being stopped by the police. I think it's important that we all go and support, not only support, but learn. And we'll be back here next week.
Yep. So it's Broward Bar Association. Go ahead, check out the page
on Facebook.
To that event right now.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See y'all
next week. Thank you, Shavon.
Wait, show your shirt, Sandra. Show your shirt, honey. Show your shirt.
My shirt says that yes, I'm mixed, right? But guess what I'm mixed with? Black, unapologetically
Black, proud, Black, and Black again. I love us, honey. Love being Black. All right, so see you on the flip side next week. God willing, see y'all next week. Peace out.